I don't think he remembers what he already tried and had got off of and then was like, oh, yeah, we'll get back to this one. I mean, look, logically speaking, there's not many places where you become more popular by being black. Like the argument that she's not black almost feels like it's counterproductive to the aims of what it is that he's going for. But they've decided that this is the way they're going about this. Substantive issues are not going to get anywhere for them. They have figured this out. This is about vibes. They think this vibe works. I would think by now they had somebody tell them this one doesn't play. Because when they tried it early, that was the universal thing. It's like, this one isn't playing. I just think he forgot.
Yeah, I think he doesn't care. I mean, it's like the Haitian immigrants. He just says it because that's what he wants to say. But Trump, again, we keep talking about this because he keeps bringing it up. He is struggling with the Kamala Harris of it all. He actually joked tonight at the Al Smith dinner that now he likes Joe Biden. And he says that because this is what he said on Truth Social. Kamala should be investigated and forced off the campaign, and Joe Biden allowed to take back his rightful place. He got 14 million primary votes. She got none.
That's funny.
I mean,
What did she say?
That's funny.
I mean,
That is funny.
It is
That's
funny. I mean, look, when
Maybe it's a
President
joke.
Biden
Maybe
was in the
it's
race,
real.
I mean, I think everyone, for the most part, sort of believed that Trump was likely going to win. The reality is Kamala Harris is a formidable candidate. I mean, you have to bring your A game. She's younger. She's excited the Democratic base. She's raised a lot of money. So I certainly get the frustration. But look, there's a host of issues where Donald Trump leads on, Abby. We've talked about it for months now. It's the economy and immigration. My advice to him would be to stick to those things if you want to maintain your lead going into November.
But you know better. You know he's not going to. You know.
I don't know,
You know
Brian.
who he is.
I don't know.
You know who he is. You know what I think, guys? I think we laugh so we don't cry. And in that same post that you just quoted, Abby, he also said CBS should be forced off the air, the license should be revoked, 60 Minutes should be kicked off the air.
I mean, it's
election
all
interference.
fun and games
This
until
is crazy
it's
stuff.
not.
But-
Until it's not. I mean, what you're talking about, he could try to do. We know that he has a history of trying to punish media companies for doing journalism that he does not like.
But we look at it and
But
it's
didn't Obama spy on a journalist?
But Ryan, hold on, Ryan. It's in all caps and,
Didn't
and it
Obama
seems
spy
funny,
on a
it seems
journalist?
wild, so people sometimes dismiss it, even though it's very serious.
But Brian, didn't Obama spy
No
on a
administration is perfect. But
What? No, I don't think that. I do not believe that Donald Trump did what Barack Obama did
The
to
Trump
journalists.
administration put Reality Winner behind bars for leaking to The Intercept. Every administration is guilty of some of this.
Okay.
But the Trump,
That's not the same thing. But
Donald
okay.
Trump has threatened every major media company in the United States,
who did he
including
spy on?
Fox.
Wait, but Ryan, okay, all right, let's call it what you say. I think Brian's point is Trump is saying he wants to take an entire news organization off the air because he doesn't like an interview that they conducted.
He doesn't like the editing.
Can't you just, like, in the real world, acknowledge that's bad?
I would say that Donald Trump should get a diary instead of Truth Social. That's my opinion. That is
There
sometimes.
we are. Now
Sometimes
we're
you do need a
laughing and
diary.
I just have to point out, you didn't answer my question.
No, because I don't think it's a serious thing. It's what we talked about last time: literal versus figurative. I don't think anyone really thinks he's going to take CBS off the air.
But what about the racist
That doesn't mean he's not going to try.
How is he going to try? How is he going to? Is he going to have?
by appointing an FCC chair who will do it? But what about the racist attacks? That's where we started. What about the racism? What about the racism today about Springfield, Ohio, saying they're eating other unspecified animals?
Is it racist that like Janet Jackson said she wasn't really black?
Yeah, but don't flip
I
it
just
around.
want to know.
Like,
Is
why
it
you always
racist?
do
Because
that?
she
Why
did
do you
say
do
that.
that?
She did say that.
Barack
She did say
Obama,
that.
is this with Janet Jackson? Like, he's asking you a
No,
question.
I'm asking a real
Is it-
question.
no,
If
you're
she-
not.
Yes,
You're
I am.
answering his question with a question. What he's saying is it not crazy that he can just say racist things, make up things about cats and dogs, say whatever he wants on the
what I'm
air, and it
saying
doesn't
is- what I'm
matter?
saying is that
And
it's
you flip it
inherently
around.
racist.
What about Janet Jackson?
Is
Like,
it
what are you
racist
talking
that
about,
she
man?
asked the same question?
But that's not the question.
Why is it not the question?
So to the point
Because Donald Trump is running for president,
Right.
right? Janet Jackson's not running for president. All these other people you're mentioning. Donald Trump is the one running for president. And we need to take this man and the things he says seriously. And the things he's saying are, I'm going to take people off the air that I don't agree with. I'm going to go after my political enemies. I'm going to do these terrible things. And we have to take these
did Hillary
terrible
Clinton,
things.
Did,
You're
did
doing
Hillary,
it again.
No.
Don't
did
do
Hillary
it again.
Clinton go
Don't
to
do it
jail?
again.
Did Hillary Clinton go to jail? Because he promised he was going to send her to jail, and then he never did.
This is what
Hold
you
on,
do.
all right,
Like,
hold on.
This is what Trump does to all of us, though. This
It's
is what he's done to the country.
I mean, if anything, the show is a little bit of a microcosm of the country. But
Yeah, it is,
I just have
Abby.
to say, Ryan, you know that there is a lot of reporting of Trump both attempting and succeeding to direct his government to go after his political enemies. You know that that is true, right?
Which political enemies did he get arrested?
He tried. He literally.
Which one? I generally don't know.
He's
Which one did he get
talking
arrested?
about Getting Adam Schiff arrested once he gets back into office.
I'm not. I
Shifty
didn't.
Schiff.
I
He's
get
going to get
that,
him
but-
arrested.
But you also don't.
I
You don't
get
put
that,
words,
but he said that Hillary Clinton
Ryan,
would go to jail, and she didn't.
Ryan,
So
don't put words in my mouth. I didn't
I'm
say
not.
that he got her arrested.
I asked a question.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I said that he attempted to use the government against his political enemies. That is true. And so the idea that he says things and then doesn't try to do them is not borne out by facts.
Okay.
He says things and then often tries to do them.
Two things. One, the blovicating, I think that people sit there and say, all right, normal people are like, I don't care. Trump's annoying, but I like his policies, and that's fine. The second thing is that a lot of presidents went for their political enemies using the government. Trump did not get anyone, I mean, that's the truth. Obama used the IRS against his political enemies. That did happen. But he did. Yes,
I'm
he
just
did.
trying to figure out why you're so comfortable in the guardrails around
Trump did it
somebody
for
that tried to
years
overturn an
against
election
many
result.
opponents.
Like, how do you feel so confident in
Also,
what this
okay,
man will not do?
Because he was president already,
Guys,
and it didn't happen.
I want to get some other things in, but again, Ryan, please. Barack Obama was you have no evidence that Barack Obama directly asked the IRS to go after any political enemies.
They just happened to.
You have no evidence that Barack Obama was involved in that. You have to acknowledge that because
okay,
you don't.
I don't. They did, though. I don't.
You said
I don't
Barack
have evidence,
Obama
but they
used
did.
the IRS to go after his political enemies.
His
That is
administration
false.
did
That's
at the time.
false.